All right, everybody, we are on the home stretch. We're almost there. We've almost gotten through the very first year of Latin. However, I will implore you, do not start with the celebrations quite yet. We still have a little bit of a way to go. And as you probably might have figured out when you got your packet, this is going to be, I suppose you could say, a very intensive last couple weeks of school, at least compared to your other assignments for this class. Feel free, now you only have to do the exercises that I give you. Feel free to spread those out. You don't have to do them on the exact days that they've been assigned. You can, as long as it all gets done at the end of the week, if you'd like to divide it across 4 or 5 days rather than just the 3, that works perfectly fine by me. These videos will go with every single assignment. I will have an individual one for each assignment. And then hopefully we can get everything done in time. At the very least, we can get through chapter 6 or 7 in time for your final exam, which will be on all of the book that you've done so far. So chapters 1 through 8 will all the final exam will have material from chapters 1 through chapters 8. Okay. So what I wanted to do with this video is, so if you look at your assignment, it says reread chapter 1 of Lingua Latina. Please, for your sake, reread through chapter 1 of Lingua Latina. Don't rely purely on this video to see if you can do it. Don't like, I don't know, just see if you can just get through it as quickly. No, reread through chapter 1, do as best you can. And it's hard to describe simply how much it is going to make things easier. So anyway, and I'm only saying that because of the fact that I gave the first 2 set of exercises to the 6th and the 7th graders who are in school, and they all did terribly. And the reason they all did terribly is because of the fact that they were just trying to talk to each other through, like, asking, so what is Corsica? What does ubi mean? How do I answer this esne thing and all that stuff? So just reread through the chapter. I know that sounds probably boring to reread through every single chapter in the book so far, but if you do, then these last several assignments are going to be effortless by comparison. Okay, so with that out of the way, there's only, with all your assignments, with the Exercitia that I assigned you, the most difficult ones are probably going to be number 3 and number 7, because those are the question ones, and I know that the question ones are a little bit difficult. So just to get this out of the way, those are not translation assignments. Do not turn these Latin sentences, these Latin questions, into English. Let me repeat that just in case you didn't hear the first time, because I really don't want to have to grade another set of papers and take off that many points because of the fact that these questions were translated rather than answered. The way you do all of these every single time you have a Latin sentence with a question mark at the end is the same, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute. For now, you'll have this other set of assignments. So this is Exercitium 1. It's also, to a certain extent, an Exercitium 2 and Exercitium 6. You basically complete them the same way. First thing you do, you look at some of the sentences, then you look over to your right or left, depending on which. So you look over to the side, basically, so on the margins, as I've been calling them throughout the year, and you look at the words that you have, and those are the 2 words that you use, or those are the endings, because sometimes, for instance, it will have it being as like a it or something like that, because it's the ending of a verb or something along those lines. What these mean is that these are the words or endings that you plug in to the blanks, and your only job is to figure out which one of these goes in which one of these, and it's not a one-to-one. You'll be reusing them for basically every single one of the Exercitia. So, just to start you guys off, for instance, in Exercitium 1, Italia in Europa, well, there's only one thing mentioned here, Italy, being in something else. So Italia in Europa, and then it would be Italia, so therefore it would have to be Italia in Europa Est. However, in number two, this isn't actually number two, but it's one of the questions as well. In Italia et Gallia in Europa, well, now there's two, so that means because of the fact that it's plural, it has to be sunt. So Italia et Gallia in Europa sunt. Now, questions. With all Latin questions, I mentioned this earlier in the year, but here's just a reminder, and here's just re-going through it, because that's what these last couple weeks are going to be all about, is just re-going through everything. What you do is you locate the question word. It will pretty much always be the very first word in the sentence. You figure out what the question word is. In this case, it's ubi. Ubi means where. So, in English, this would be, where is Rome? So, in order to answer that question, you say in Latin, Roma. You say in Latin the very first line of the book. Roma, not capital I, in Italia, not Italia, est. All right, very simple, very elegant. Roma, ubi est Roma? Roma in Italia est. You also have, however, a different type of question. You have what I like to call an esne question, or a num question. So sometimes, instead of esne, you'll have num, and if you have num, then you'll have an est at the end of the sentence. The esne and then num with everything in between, and then est at the end, they are functionally the exact same question. Now, the way you answer these questions is, it's basically asking you a yes or no question. Is Greece in Europe? If the answer to that question is yes, you will say Graecia in wrong shift. Sorry for the bad typing. Europa est. And if the answer is no, you will say Graecia in Europa non est. So if the answer is yes, you say Graecia in Europa est, and if the answer is no, you say Graecia in Europa non est. This is the case with everything else. In other words, you simply repeat the question. In this case, what I like to do is, for each of these, you more or less just repeat the question, and then add non if the answer is no, and then just take off the ne or num if the answer is yes. So then, for the third type, quid est Sparta? Now, quid means what? So naturally, it's asking you, what is Sparta? Well, what is Sparta? Well, if you go back in the chapter, it says Sparta oppidum Graecum est. Now, if you just want to say Sparta oppidum est, rather than oppidum Graecum, that's acceptable. I would prefer if you instead put in the effort to just write oppidum Graecum. But either one of those is acceptable. All right. So those are pretty much the two types of questions. Now for Exercitium 6, you're going to have a whole lot more vocabulary words than just est and sunt. So look through the sentences and try your best to figure out, based off of what you read in the book, of what basically try to look for sentences, or think of sentences which sounded similar in your read through, and as you're going through those, and yeah, so that should be enough to get you guys started. If not, just get you through the whole thing. Hope it isn't too painful, and see you in a couple days, I guess.